Welcome back. You're watching Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Karal Lahada. Let's get back to this conversation. Joining me here, we have Live Now's very own Andrew Kraft, also political analyst Brian Sobel. Both of these gentlemen joining me just ahead of President Joe Biden giving that press conference over in Washington, D.C. in the final day of the NATO summit. Brian, thanks so much for your analysis heading into this. Andrew, I would like to give you here the last question for Brian and the parting thoughts.
To this taking place today, we also have the RNC taking place obviously next week. And so if you're juxtaposing the predicament Biden is in with the posture and position Republicans are in going into Milwaukee, who has the upper hand right now? We've been showing so many of these polls, not only national head-to-heads, but also in the swing states as well. If you're the RNC and you're the GOP going into Milwaukee, do you want to keep a low profile? Do you want to see how the Biden story plays out into a third week post-debate? Obviously, we're anticipating who Trump might choose as his running mate. That's going to be big news. Other than that, though, what are Republicans thinking tonight, do you think?
Well, if they're smart, they allow Biden, if he's going to self-destruct. They don't have to comment on it. The media, which they believe have been decidedly for Joe Biden, now are asking the very tough questions that they would have hoped they would have asked a long time ago. So the Republicans would be well advised to just get on about their business. But I can tell you, behind the scenes, this is a gift because all of the head-to-head stuff between Biden and Trump has been turned on its head now with these questions about the cognition of the president. And it's just smart to let this play out as it's going to play out. Go to the convention if you're a Republican, have your hoorah, just like the Dems will have soon. You watch who the former president selects as the vice president, the candidate, and have a good old time, and basically ignore Biden from the standpoint of his health. Let other people carry your water on that. I suspect that's the way it'll play out.
So, Brian, another kind of element and aspect of this that we've heard from so many senior Democrats. You and I spoke about this yesterday. There's kind of a cognitive dissonance at play, and maybe you agree that essentially Pelosi and Jeffries and Schumer and others are saying, we're with Joe. And then they issue some type of conditional or caveat, but he has to show the American people that he can do it. And so is that a tepid endorsement or is that declarative? Is that full-throated, or does it leave the room open for something? You're also talking about the timeline and the timetable going into the DNC in August in Chicago. We know there's going to be a virtual roll call sometime late July. If the worst-case scenario for Democrats is that Biden leaves the ticket, maybe Harris is the nominee here, that doesn't leave them much time. How does that process happen? Is there a failure of imagination on the part of Democrats who may want that outcome, who may want that scenario, but don't necessarily know how to go about it? Or is it purely just quiet dejection, quiet resignation?
Well, at the start of your question, I think you hit on something, and that is that you use the word tepid. Tepid is about as good as it gets right now. I think there are a lot of high-ranking Dems who are very fearful about what may happen in November. And because of that, they are looking for this off-ramp we were talking about earlier. And I think in their heart of hearts, they think, hey, there isn't a lot of time, but if it's a nationally known person who replaces Joe Biden, and that might be the vice president or somebody else who's in the Democrat Party that's very well known around the nation, or somebody who isn't even an elected official, they have a chance, because that person would have already national notoriety, to jumpstart the campaign as best they can under the circumstances. The Dems are in a corner right now. They're boxed in a corner, and they've got to make some decisions very, very quickly. That's why this media conference coming up in just a few minutes is critically important, but also over the next few days as the president tries to find a way out of this box.
All right, Brian Karel there. I think that's going to do it for some of our analysis and expertise from Brian. We rely on him so heavily here with all these political considerations and questions as well. Brian, we're going to cut you loose. We know a lot of people want to talk to you tonight. Karel and I are going to take the reins from here.